Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. This is Monday, December 5th. If there are any questions, concerns, come up to the podium here and give us your name and address and tell us what's on your mind. Call the roll, please.
Cedar?
Here.
Kinsbotter?
Here.
Lehman? Here. Kufa?
Here.
Laporte?
Here.
Hall?
Present.
Volz?
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Before we move forward, I want to ask for a motion to amend the agenda and remove number 14, the closed session. We will not be needing to do that.
So moved. Support.
Questions? All right, call the roll on that, please.
Kufa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Volz?
Yes.
Kinsbotter?
Yes.
Lehman?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, remove 14, closed session. Number 4 is consent agenda. A, City Council minutes of November 21st, 2022, regular meeting recommendation approve. B is the Zoning Board of Appeals minutes of October 19th, 2022, special meeting recommendation received, and the Historical Commission's annual report recommendation received.
Motion to approve A through C as presented.
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We do have a proclamation and a presentation of the United Way of St. Clair County. Brent Gillette is here. You're up.
Really not quite sure what I'm supposed to do today, other than thank you on behalf of the 16,000 people that we helped last year, and to get the word out for our workplace countywide campaign. You know, I still believe that United Way is the single best way to help the most people. And it's not because of its better organization than any other organization, but it's how it's made up. And that is, it's a broad scope, broad brush of agencies and programs that help all of our citizens from one point of life to the next. We start with our children, getting them ready for school. We help our young families with issues that are going on in their lives. And we help our adults and elderly when the time comes that they need a little helping hand because the planning didn't quite make it where they need to be. So I want to thank the council, Bill Cedar and the rest of the councilmen and women for your help in getting the word out to our community of philanthropic activity and proclaiming this month, December, Giving Month for our community, St. Clair County, and in particular, the city of St. Clair.
Great, thank you, Brent. If you stay right there, I do have a proclamation I want to read and give to you before you leave. Whereas the United Way of St. Clair County partners with the community in meeting the needs of people in the city of St. Clair, and whereas the United Way of St. Clair County provides the most efficient utilization of fundraising by assessing and responding to indicators of local community needs, be it resolved that the City of St. Clair Council urges the people and businesses of St. Clair to support the financial campaign of the United Way of St. Clair County to its fullest extent. Be it further resolved that the City of St. Clair Council, on behalf of the people of St. Clair, expresses appreciation to many volunteers, including the Board of Directors of the United Way of St. Clair County and the organizations it supports for their generous contributions of time and energy to the agencies which seek to enrich the lives of people of this great county. On behalf of the City of St. Clair, Brent, thank you. Thank you, Brent. All right, we have a presentation from our Splashpad committee.
Yes. Let me take a drink first here. Thank you. On behalf of the St. Clair Recreation Commission, I'd like to make a presentation for the City of St. Clair Splashpad Committee. We went to the City Council in July to establish the committee, and then we started meeting in August. And I'll do my little click here, hopefully. Uh-oh, I might need Paul. Well, the next slide is supposed to be the members on our committee. I knew it. We get this over with, the technical difficulties.
Ladies and
All
gentlemen,
right,
Paul
it's supposed to be
Dingman.
right here.
He said magic
Yeah.
fingers.
Maybe you got the magic touch. Oh. Well, I will say, we'll bring up the slide with our committee members, but we started, our first meeting was a leadership meeting with our city council, rec commission, myself as recreation director, and we also had Mike Barnum, one of our residents, at that meeting. And then we followed up with a full committee meeting. We recruited some individuals from the community that are here today, which we appreciate. And at both of those meetings, the recommendation was that we felt the splash pad should be located at Klecha Park. And this was also the recommendation of our City of St. Clair Recreation Commission, because we've been talking about this and it's been on our agenda for quite a while. So the good news about that location is we already had a master plan in place for Klecha Park. That was established in 2016. And we also had a site plan for the park, because in 2020, we did apply for a DNR grant. Oh, there we go. But that grant was not approved, so we did pursue some funding for the development of the project. But this was our committee, Karen Foley from the Recreation Commission, myself, Micah Volz and Chris Paul were the council representatives. Matt Karras was included from the St. Clair Little League. And then we had some residents that volunteered to be on the committee: Terry Byer, Mike Barnum, Katie Krebs, Joanne Westrake. We had a couple of other members from organizations that were also included on our meeting notices. And our rec commission as a whole was also included in our meeting notices. So let's see if this works. So I mentioned the master plan, and we also had a site plan that we used for a grant request that we made in 2020. And before we established the committee, I presented to our rec commission. I contacted some of the local communities that have existing splash pads, such as St. Clair County Parks and Rec. They have one out in Goodalls, Port Huron, Marysville, Clay Township, and we had a contact person from Sterling Heights. And I just asked them to give me some feedback on maintenance of their splash pads, some vendor information, design, and what kind of water systems that they use. So that was very helpful information and a resource for our committee to take a look at, and our rec commission. So we looked into the benefits of a splash pad. It's access for all ages and abilities. It's a cool destination in the summer. It's easier to maintain than a pool. No lifeguards are required at splash pads. It's an outdoor exercise and outdoor recreation experience, and it also has a lot of sensory development features to it. And another thing that we really looked at was the different type of water systems that you could use for the parks, and we felt the flow-through system would be the easiest to build for our use. It used potable water. That water is out to the sewer or stormwater. That increases design budget for interactive play, features above ground. It's ideal for small areas, and most important, it's a lower maintenance for the city. And then when you're looking at splash pads, you have the flush mount features, which is more the spray features, just water shooting up from the surface. You can do pattern spraying, interactive sequencing, dance water shows, and this is good for all ages that can enjoy that. And then the above grade features are more interactive. They uses manipulatives, which is you can activate it by pushing a button. You anticipate the experience, the water shooting up, or, for example, an overhead dumping element for an above grade feature. And a lot of these splash pads also have a theme. You can pick a theme throughout the entire facility. Surfacing, primarily we're looking at a broomed finish concrete surface, and then you have the appropriate grade for the drains. And we talked a lot about how important it would be to have shade and seating at the splash pad facility too. And then we met, we had a couple Zoom meetings with some spray park vendors. So they gave us some ideas of square footage, what kind of features you could have at your splash pad, and then they also gave us some figures that we could use for cost estimates. So this was an existing feature that, or splash pad that they put together, a 2,500 square foot. And then this was a 23 square foot facility, but it had more features, so there was a difference in the price. So again, just getting some vendor information was very helpful. And the timing for this committee was perfect because we knew that there was a pending DNR Spark Grant program that was being offered to local parks. And the available funding for this grant is for the state of Michigan is $65 million. And it is targeted just for local parks. And they are going to have 3 rounds of funding. This round 1, they're saying that they would make the determination on all the grant applications by the end of July. But the deadline for the grant is December 19th. So that's why it's timely for us to be here today, so we can get into this round 1 grant funding. And then they will have a round 2 and a round 3. So if our grant is not funded in round 1, we do have the opportunity to resubmit for round 2 and for round 3. There's other grants that are available too. So once we have our grant package together, we can use it to pursue any of these grants or any other grants that are available. The good thing too is that they'll give you the criteria so that if you do have to resubmit a grant, you can improve your score by adding more information. And what on the agenda today is a resolution to pursue a DNR grant through the Sparks program. We also are going to include a playground with our grant requests. And the Recreation Commission has actually done all the background work for that. We have been meeting with vendors and talking about what type of play structure and the location at Klecha Park. And this is one of the designs that a vendor provided for us. And it has the main play area, a separate tot area, swings, and a whirl that would replace the merry-go-round at Klecha Park, which I think everybody would hate to see go. And then we updated our site plan. You can't see everything probably from this, but this is the location for the splash pad, the playground, and this is an entire site plan, a relocation of our park pavilion, and some future plans for maybe a multi-purpose court, such as a basketball court or a pickleball court. But for the grant purposes, we are going for the splash pad, the playground, and this connecting pathway within the park and some connectivity with the neighborhood, with the sidewalk, and adding accessible parking. And we did get an estimate for those items that I just mentioned. So the total project cost is $900,000. And our local match that we're recommending is a 20% match. So the grant request is $720,000. And again, you probably can't see from this slide, but the actual subtotal for the development is $600. But when you have to add on all the contingencies, it adds about a $300,000 amount to the grant. So that contingency is for construction, mobilization, engineering costs. So it does give us a little cushion, not knowing what our bids will be coming in for the project so that we can complete it. And we're projecting that our match fund source of funding for the grant is primarily the park millage money, our current fund balance that we have, and any future park millage money. We can also pursue foundation. We may have some general fund and capital improvement funds for that local match. And so we talked about what we're going for the grant, but we also have the phase 2, which would include the picnic pavilion and the multi-surface court. And I forgot to mention, we do have ball fields improvement included in the development too, the Major League field, doing some development to that. So We do have the committee support, and we have an individual that kind of sparked the whole committee, Mike Barnum, and he did submit a letter to the city council, which we had for you at the meeting, and I didn't know, Mike, if you want to come up now, if you have anything to say, or... I'll finish up with just I'll wrap it up.
I'm still trying to think what I'm going to say.
Okay, well, I can wrap it up then. But we can go to local service groups, business organizations, and foundation for funding of the project. The St. Clair Little League, we feel that the current and alumni Little League, because of the history at Klecha Park, that they would be a good source of funding for that. And also we have the St. Clair County Parks and Recreation Commission. There is an initiative that is supporting the Spark grants within St. Clair County called Everybody Play Initiative. So they have made a commitment that all of the grant applications that are submitted through the Sparks program, if they're not funded, that they will help us try to find funding for our projects, whether it be foundation or we have the Ralph Wilson Foundation or the Community Foundation. There's a DTE Foundation. So they said that since there was so much interest in this grant, that they would help all communities. And the county has a built-in millage fund grant. If you develop a splash pad, you are eligible for $10,000 in startup money for that too.
Therese, before you turn
Yes.
Barnum loose here. The pages where you have the pictures and the splash pad, the vendor water play, the 2,300 square foot for 191, is that 191 just the equipment, the installation?
It doesn't include all of the installation. It's just for the pad and the features. And then there's the additional costs.
When I look at the spec sheet and I see the splash pad and it says 275,
That,
$85,000 is labor or whatever.
yes. And then we have the contingency. Hopefully, we can use some of those funds too to cover the cost.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, let's get the guy up who's gonna find us a bunch of money.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to say I appreciate everything this council's done and what it's done in the community. Everything that's going on in this town right now is all positive. You go downtown and you see the activities that they have in the summertime, have in the fall, all the building that's going on that's coming to the community and that, I think it's all good stuff. And I just wanted to say that when I heard about the stuff that was going on, I thought of my brother, which was the police officer and also a police chief here in town. And I thought of him, and I was trying to think of something that we could do in the community that I could have something in his name. And I thought of a splash park. I talked to Mayor Cedar about it, and he said, well, we'll bring it up and then we'll see what we can do. So we went ahead and had a meeting with Therese, and we talked about it. And I'm very passionate about it because I see what's going on in the town. Cargill building adding on, Magna out there, the new building down there for the theater is fantastic. I also think that everything that's going on is good, but I also thought the south end, Klecha Park, when they brought that up, fantastic. That's a perfect place to have a splash pad. So I wanted to go ahead and see what we could do. I'm going to try like, can I say this? I'm going to try like hell to raise money to have this splash park. And if it goes through, I'd like to have it in memory of my brother, Don Barnum. And also to continue on, I'd like to see that whole project fully completed. So that's why I'm here tonight, and I believe in this. Everything is positive in this town right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Good luck.
Thank you.
Anybody, comments, questions?
So that's my, that's my last slide for my,
All right, continue on.
am I next on the agenda? So the next item we have, we would like to submit a grant for the Klecha Park improvements. And I brought that slide back up that lists the items that we would include. So we are asking consideration by City Council for a resolution supporting the submitting of a Michigan Department of Natural Resources Spark Grant for the renovation of Klecha Park. And the total project and the local match is included in the resolution and up on the screen there for your review.
Reese, can you just verify that the grant application will be in the amount of $720,000, not the $900,000?
It's, the total project cost is 900, the local match is the 120, and the grant amount awarded would be 720. Yes.
I just want to make sure the
Okay.
resolution is accurate. Okay, thank you.
180 match, right?
Yeah, 180.
180, excuse me, yes.
So, Therese, we're actually going to deal with 3 resolutions tonight, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so are we prior,
We'll have a separate report on the other 2 resolutions.
right, but I mean, so we're looking for 3 different grants from the same pool of money?
Yes. You can submit multiple grants, you do have to prioritize.
Okay, so, and did we do that?
Well, my recommendation for the prioritization is Klecha Park, Gregg Park bathroom facilities, and the Palmer Park facilities. But if any one of those gets funded, we'll definitely go,
Move forward.
they'll move to the top of the list.
Yeah.
All 3 grants meet different criteria in the Spark grant. They really are looking at local parks, renovation of local parks, so that's where Klecha Park fits in, because we're replacing playground and we're adding to the play equipment. The bathroom facilities, this is a COVID virus grant. They do ask in the grant narrative, like how we were affected by COVID, and how, what we have learned from that and what we can do. And having permanent bathroom facilities definitely addresses that as far as providing permanent bathrooms, safety and sanitary in our parks. So it all comes down to the grant criteria and the scoring. So each grant could get a different scoring, meet different grant scoring criteria.
This is all coming from the same Spark grant?
Yes.
So do they know order of importance, or they don't care?
We will have to indicate order of importance on the grants.
So Therese, as the resolution 2223, the 3rd paragraph down says, now therefore it's resolved that the city of St. Clair hereby authorize submission of a Spark application in the amount of $900,000. Further resolves to make available its financial obligation amount of $180 during the 23 fiscal year. If you guys can't come up with the fundraising, you can't find the grants or the local help, where's the 120 or the 180?
We actually have until 2026 to complete the grant and meet the local match obligation. So we would have to sign a grant agreement in 2023 if we are awarded. So we would commit to that. But we do have until 2026 to complete any of the awarded Sparks grants.
So if we pass this resolution, we're okaying you to move forward. We're not locked into the 180 until 2026 because you've got the 3 years to.
Right, and with any grant, once it's approved, there will be a grant agreement that will come back to City Council for your final approval.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion on it yet, or?
I'll make that motion.
All right, the motion is made and supported for Resolution 2223, the grant amount. Application of $900,000. Questions? All right, call the roll, please.
Laporte,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Foltz,
Yes.
Kinsvater,
Yes.
Lehman. Yes. Kufa,
Yes.
Cedar.
Yes.
Motion adopted.
All right, thank you. Therese, we'll go to B, Resolution 2224, MDR Spark Grant Intent, Greg Park.
Yes, so as I mentioned in my Splashpad committee information, we are submitting more than one grant application, and we are submitting for permanent bathrooms at 2 locations, Greg Park and Palmer Park. And this came up this year under our budget discussion, under the Capital Improvement Fund, the need for permanent bathrooms. It's been in our master plan. It's going to be in our next updated master plan, and I feel it's a priority of the Rec Commission too. I did ask AEW for assistance with this grant since it dealt with permanent fixtures, and Ryan Kern is here. He put together the cost estimate and the information for the grant, so I'm going to let him report on that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So there's 2 projects that we're looking to apply for here. Restroom facility at Greg Park would consist of a permanent facility. I met with Teresa a few weeks ago and visited both sites to get an idea where best we think we want to locate these. That location can change. It doesn't have to be set in stone as part of the application, but we were looking at closest to the picnic pavilion at Greg Park. It's kind of a centralized location in the park. We would be looking at separate men and women restroom as well as a family restroom, 1 toilet, 1 sink in each one. The building would be 24 by 24. And then we would have to extend water and sewer service. There's water main on North Kearney Drive. On the east side of North Kearney Drive, we would have to extend a water service to, and then sewer service. There's service right outside of City Hall here on the north property line that we would have to connect to. Did provide an estimate on that. Total cost with engineering and construction administration on that is just short of $500,000. The other location is at Palmer Park. There we were looking at a slightly larger building, 30 by 30, looking at putting that towards the north end of the park, close to where the city's water intake currently is. Estimated cost of that about $650,000, including engineering, construction, administrative costs. That would include just a men's and women's restroom all year round that would be heated. In the men's room would be 1 toilet, 1 urinal, 2 sinks, and the women's restroom, 2 toilets and 2 sinks. And again, extension of water and sewer service. That one's a little bit easier. There's water service right there in the park, and there's sewer service at the north end of the park. We would not have to cross North Riverside to extend that sewer. So that's basically what we're proposing there on those 2 projects.
Why is Greg Park higher up on the list of importance than Palmer Park?
I guess I'd probably let Teresa answer that one.
I think,
Before you answer, I got a second part of that question. How does that affect them granting us the money for each project? Like,
Well-
why do they ask for that?
I think they want you to prioritize within your own municipality. So, again, each grant, the 2 bathroom facility grants are similar, but they're going to score differently, most likely. So, if the bathroom grants score higher, but they're a second priority, it may be a determining factor for funding. It's all about the scoring and meeting the grant criteria, so. And this is a new grant for the DNR, and they've given us a lot of information, but there's a lot of unknown facts to this grant. They don't know how many applications they're going to get, how they're going to handle all these applications and all that. So it's a learning experience for everyone.
So if I understand it correctly, if it scores higher and it's higher on the list of importance, there's a better chance of us getting it?
That's a
Rather
possibility.
than if it's scoring low and it's high on our list, we probably won't get it.
I have no way of knowing, but it is a grant criteria and point system that they use.
Okay.
I guess just one benefit of having the 3 rounds of funding is if we weren't funded for any project in the first round, we would have an idea of what projects are awarded too. So when we go back to submit in round 2 or round 3, we'd have a better idea too, I guess, is how to
Right.
prioritize it as well.
I also feel like once we have these grant packages together, we're not just limited to DNR grants. There's other foundation grants, there's other accessibility grants and that. So we have the packages together, we can go out there and get the funding. And it also puts our projects out there for especially local foundations, local groups and organizations that might want to contribute to the projects.
Okay.
Does the Ralph Wilson Foundation, do they have any kind of interest in this?
I actually think the bathroom facilities might fit more into the Ralph Wilson Foundation because they're both on the Bridge to Bay Trail, and they're both designated trailheads. And that's been one of the missions of the Ralph Wilsons. They're helping with our Clinton Avenue critical gap bike path and that. So I do think that might be the next step, is to approach them for the bathroom funding if we do not get funding through the Sparks.
Because we
Grant.
did put those 2 nice kiosks, one at Gregg Park and one at Palmer Park.
Yes, it's all
That's on
part
their
of
trail.
this county-wide bike plan. So, and providing amenities along the bike trails is a big priority too.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're going to be spearheading this Ralph Wilson move, right?
Yes. But we needed the numbers, we needed the estimates, we needed a starting point. So this DNR grant is enabling us to do that. And like I said, just getting the project out there.
So we're on B, Gregg Park. What are your wishes, gentlemen?
Can I ask a question, Ryan? Why the difference in the 2 restrooms? One, you've noted that it will be heated and open all year. Am I to assume that the Gregg Park will not be heated and closed in the
Correct,
winter?
that's the plan, yeah, we would close that one for the winter. That one's, we believe that one won't get as much use. I think Palmer Park, I think you've got year-round use, a lot heavier pedestrian use at that park.
And then, I don't know if I totally agree with that, just because the use of that park, we have a hockey rink there, we have basketball, kids play in all kinds of weather. Any nice day, even if it's cold out, kids still go to that park, and every kid that goes to the park needs a restroom every time they go, it seems. So my suggestion was that we heat it, or maybe build comparable restrooms at both facilities, my thought.
We can do that.
Could be added
Yeah.
on too, yeah.
Sorry, Ryan, did you say that the Gregg Park would be heated or the Palmer Park would be heated?
Palmer Park.
Okay. So again, at this time, you guys are approving, the intent to apply the application, but the details and agreement will come back to you for further discussion.
Unless there's no other discussion, I'll ask for a motion if anybody is so apt to do so for the Gregg Park Spark Grant.
Well, if they're gonna change that building so that it's heated, isn't the price gonna change?
Yeah, the price would change slightly,
So
yes.
can we actually pass that resolution or contingent on the numbers changing, or?
Yeah, I don't see why you
But this
couldn't
has,
pass
you
it.
want to get this in by the 19th, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if we would meet the deadline for the round 1, but it could be ready for round 2, because we do need a resolution, unless we get a resolution that you support the project, and we can come back with you with the actual numbers.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with that. We said make it contingent upon us revising the estimate. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're both good projects. I don't know if I would put Gregg Park in front of Palmer Park. I don't know if that makes a difference or not. I hope it doesn't. I would hate to see us just get 2, because I think getting the Porta-Johns out of Palmer Park are a little more important than the ones in Gregg Park are sort of not quite the eyesore, just saying.
I agree.
I may agree with that, too.
I do too.
Yeah.
And if you want to state that on a separate motion, since we presented all 3 applications to you.
Did we approve the Klecha Park renovation?
Yes.
So we're on Gregg Park now?
Correct.
What are we gonna do?
Mr. Downey's trying to Puts maybe something, I don't know. I do. So he says, what, should we just vote on Palmer Park first? But what we could do is just say Gregg Park with those stipulations as to the price. And when we get to Palmer Park, we can just say Palmer Park is our before
Okay,
Gregg Park.
Then let's do that.
Is that all right? Is that all right with you?
Has the motion been made?
No.
No,
Okay, so I'll make what you just said.
what you just said.
All right, so the motion is that we're going to approve the Gregg Park Spark application. Ryan Kern's going to give us the numbers on heated bathroom there. And then when we get to the Palmer Park one next, part of our motion will be that is our first restroom priority.
Correct.
Yes.
All right. You're making that motion, Butch?
Yes, I just did.
And Chris supported? Okay, questions? All right, call the roll, please.
Paul,
Yes.
Volz,
Yes.
Kinsvater.
Yes.
Kleeman.
Yes.
Kufa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
Cedar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
All right, thank you, thank you. Now we'll go to C for the Palmer Park Spark Grant.
Did you want to just go over those numbers with them?
You need to say anything on that? Because I'll make the motion to approve
No.
it, but put it in front of Gregg Park.
I'll support that
All right,
motion.
motion made, supported, and we'll put Palmer Park as priority over Gregg Park for restrooms. That's the motion supported by Mitch Kufa, made by Kinsvater. Questions? All right, call the roll.
Volz,
Yes.
Kinsvater.
Yes.
Kleeman.
Yes.
Kufa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Cedar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
All right, thank you. Ryan, Treese, thank you.
I would like to thank City Council for your support. I think this is a great opportunity for the city. It gives us projects to look forward to, and I really do appreciate it, because it's a lot to ask. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, Treese. Good luck.
Yep.
Go to 8, Port Administration. Annette, you got anything tonight?
Just a few things
All
today.
right.
Yes, the city received a certificate from the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, commending us on our source water protection program, just as another pat on our backs. We're one of only 93 communities who have achieved that distinction of developing a state-approved program. So we received the official certificate. Pretty proud of that. The city also received the dividend from MML Liability and Property Pool in the amount of $10,078, as stated in the approval of our annual premium payment. Last week, I was out of the office attending the Clerks Master Academy. There are about 120 attendees from all over the state of Michigan. A lot of pertinent information was shared. There was leadership seminars and mutually beneficial networking. I just want to thank you all for that opportunity. I have concerns on a couple of our recent road projects, and I spoke to a couple different council members who share the same concerns. 10th Street road repair and continued concerns on cracks on 2nd Street. So I know I reported that I spoke with engineers on 2nd Street. I'll be following up with them again because they have gotten worse. They're not resolved. And I'll be speaking with Ryan about 10th Street. So I just want you to know that I am aware of them. I'll be sure to complete due diligence on it, and I will report back to you on what I find out. And lastly, unfortunately, there was another accident at Brown Range and Kearney intersection. All the costs from repairing that damage will be covered with the responsible party's insurance company. St. Clair Police Department has already been acting on that. And we've internally been discussing if there's anything else we can do to that corner. For now, we know the guardrail is working as it's supposed to be, but if there's any advice or opinions, anything you want me to follow up on, please let me know. And Councilmember Kleeman, you asked if the railing can be moved immediately to provide access to the bike path. Thank you for that. I'll get on that tomorrow. You're welcome. And that's it for today.
Thank you, good. Any questions for that? Mr. Downey, you have anything cooking over there?
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Any questions for Mr. Downey? All right, any city departments out there? E, authorities, commissions, committee chairs, council reps, anything happening? We have no unfinished business. Go to number 10, new business. Approve engagement letter for Miller Canfield for bond counsel services.
Yes, Your Honor. Before you is an engagement letter from Miller Canfield. They will be our bond counsel. City received grant and loan from the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund program Miller Canfield will provide the city with a financial attorney and a financial advisor on the process to issue bonds towards this project. The engagement letter will allow myself and Jessica, the treasurer, to continue with conversations and move forward with the bond issuance process, making sure it coincides with the water treatment plant improvement project that's already in motion. If this is approved, there will be a comprehensive in-person presentation by the bond council, the second meeting in January, to provide detailed information on what that process is, what the city's intentions are, what got us to this point, and how we'll be moving forward. So with that, I am requesting a motion to approve the engagement letter as presented, which I do want to specify. The last page details the cost. So the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, we did not receive the loan in the amount we thought we would be receiving, so the city will actually have to be issuing 2 different series of bonds. So bond council will walk us through both of those, and that's really the gist of what I can get into today. So the fee for the first part is $17,500, and the second part is $30,000. So I just wanted you to be aware that the total engagement letter is $47,500 for this entire process. The motion doesn't need to say that, it's just approving the engagement letter as presented. But I just wanted to point that out for transparency.
That 47,500, does that come out of the general fund to pay those fees, or is that rolled into additional bonds being sold to pay those fees back?
That can be paid out of the bonds.
But
So
we
it
haven't
would be
determined where,
council's
we haven't,
decision.
okay.
Yeah,
that's
it
my
can be
question.
contractual services, ideally come out of the bonds themselves, so.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'd make the motion to approve.
Support.
All right, motion made, supported, questions? So our approval tonight is just moving forth, Miller Canfield. This is not in any way, shape, or form approving any type of length of bonds or anything like that point yet.
Correct.
All right, any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Kinswater.
Yep.
Lehman.
Yes.
Kufa.
Yes.
Laporte.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Foltz.
Yes.
Cedar.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. B, selection of council meeting dates for 2023.
Yes, thank you for approving the engagement letter. Jessica and I have already been talking with the representatives from the company. They are great to work with. The city does have a history, partnership with them, so we're very comfortable with this particular company, so thank you for that. So the schedule of 2023 meetings, first and third Monday of every month. The only things I'd like to note is just an FYI. We do have a meeting scheduled for January 16th. That is MLK Day, but our offices are open, so we still have a meeting that day. July 4th is on a Tuesday, so just another FYI, our meeting will be the prior Monday. And Labor Day on a Monday, so the meeting will be on Tuesday per usual. Otherwise, everything is, the first and third Monday of each month.
So city offices are going to be open on July 3rd?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless
Motion
you
to
would like
approve.
to
Support.
close them.
All right, the motion is made and supported to approve. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to number 11, claims and accounts, December 2nd, 2022.
Hearing no questions, Your Honor, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Support.
All right, motion made and supported. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to number 12, public comment, public questions. Anybody have any non-agenda items they'd like to talk to for less than 3 minutes and 1 second? Mr. Smith, you're up.
I'm Ed Smith, owner of Rivers Bend Marina. I know everything has been talked about going good in the city, but again, I would like to find out how come we have no transparency or any contact with projects going on in the city regarding the bridge. I took it upon myself to make a phone call. I was notified with the bridge tender that they are going to put a barge underneath that bridge January, February, and March. So I called Jason from Trojan Contracting, which is doing the work on the bridge. He was unaware that we have an ice flow around here every now and then. I have photographs of what happens We want to pass them down. This is just a possibility. Not saying what Mother Nature can do or not do. But since we have an issue, north end, or I would say the south end of the marina, where they have funneled the river down, where it jams now. The Pine River is already frozen over twice this year, which tells me that the surface temperature is cold. We're going to have ice. And nobody put into effect any plan to turn around and rectify this. Jason was beyond himself when I sent him the photographs. They did put a plan into effect right now so that they can take that barge out after they get the hydraulic cylinders out. But if nobody spoke with them, that barge would have been stuck underneath that bridge, and everybody upriver is going to have one heck of a problem because there's no way you're going to break the ice with that thing frozen underneath there. I just don't understand it. I had a conversation with Annette in the spring when we had a problem with the railroad. I'm just beyond myself why the city cannot contact people that will be impacted by things like this. Jason is going to put something in effect to turn around and do a safety or backup measure for this, but he had no knowing what was going to go on. And I'm sure the city knows that they're going to shut the bridge down. So the city is aware of how they're going to do it, how they're going to repair it. But I don't get any transparency, or nobody does. I spoke to a few people along the river. I even spoke with Malcolm Marine. They had no knowledge of it. They just knew the bridge was going to get shut down. The ice will go right through their building and right through their office if it backs up any higher than what it has in that picture, because it floods right up to their door. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Anybody else? Okay, then we'll go to number 13. Anybody on council have any announcements? I would like to take a minute to mention the passing of Don Boda and Ron Seaman. Ron Seaman, if you remember, bought the old Tyler's Market south of town. He was on the Harbor Commission, on the Board of Review, worked for Pine Shores Golf Course. So I just mentioned those gentlemen in passing. Anybody else?
Santa is coming to town December 10th and 11th. Chamber event hosted at Warwater Brewery. Santa will be there from 11:30 to 4 o'clock on both days. Come early, it will be busy.
Is this weekend?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
Nothing else, Your Honor. I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for coming out here tonight. Be careful going home.